Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness.
Hello, girls, and welcome back to another episode of the Women's Fitness Academy's podcast. I'm your host, Siggy, one of the WFA's educators and a women's online coach. Today, I'm joined by the lovely Claudia Natasha, who's a women's fitness coach, who's on a mission to teach skills for emotional and physical growth in women so they can step into their most outstanding version of themselves. And that's what we're all about at the Women's Fitness Academy. Claudia, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for the introduction and thanks for having me today.
What was that pivotal point in your life to choose this type of mission?
Yeah, so I have been, it's a bit of a story. So I've been in the fitness industry for a long time. I've been a coach for 2 years. And when I first started out, when I first started out, it was all about like learning as much as I could and all that sort of stuff. So I sort of just did what I was told and what you learn in your Cert 3 and 4 and all that kind of stuff. And, I like to put into practice, what I'm learning. So I got into, aesthetics training and bodybuilding training and all sort of stuff because my background in fitness was really different to what I was learning when I first started out. So I have a bit of a CrossFit powerlifting sort of background. So I got into the gym and I started a new style of training. And then because I'm really competitive, I ended up doing bodybuilding, getting really into that style of training. And I noticed that when I first started out as a coach, it got really like aesthetics focused. And when I was dealing with clients initially, a lot of the goals were focused on, I want to look a certain way, I want to lose weight. It was very aesthetics focused. So I went down that path for a bit. And I noticed underneath all that there was, there was more to it, and sort of a little bit like hard to talk about because I was really living this and breathing this experience. And during this period, my daughter, and you can hear I'm a little bit emotional talking about it. She's 13, so I've got 2 kids. I'm a mum of 2. I've got a 13-year-old and a 7-year-old. And my daughter ended up getting diagnosed with an eating disorder and with anorexia. So it was a real big shock to me. And I guess everything that I was doing as a coach and everything that I was seeing in the fitness industry at that time, it just literally turned everything on its head for me because I'm here like preaching healthy eating and doing this and doing that. And there's a lot of good that comes with that. But there's also a way that you can do it that can not come across. Well, I'll get into that part. But what I was learning was that, my daughter was a victim of diet culture in the fitness industry. So I am here being the example of the fitness industry, but my daughter was on the receiving end of this, of the bad side of it. And for me, it's like it flipped everything on its head for me. So that's where I basically, I had to change my mission. And now every time I talk as a coach, everything that I post about a coach and my mission as a coach is, wanting to empower women and moving away from like having to change our bodies because of we needing to like look a certain way or to fit in. We're doing things because we want to be healthy and because we want to feel good about ourselves, because we want to, live the best life that we can. So, that's pretty much in summary how it happened for me. That's my mission, and it's, really hits home for me. It's a very personal mission.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I can't imagine that being a easy transition for you, especially when you were breathing and living, that side of fitness, when now you've changed that complete mission due to seeing your daughter receiving the other end of that. Throughout that period, what changes did you have to do yourself as as a woman to help your daughter come across to a healthier lifestyle?
So I had to so for me, my fitness journey has always been, so I've been in the gym since I was 16 years old. So for me, and I was the sporty girl at school. So I've always done fitness and training and all that sort of stuff because I love the feeling. I love performance. It was just my outlet. It felt good. And I've always been competitive. And as well, like my approach to nutrition and all that has always been a health focused approach because I've actually had like people in my family get sick with certain things, early in life, autoimmune diseases, stuff like that. So I've watched people in my family get sick. So from my perspective, I've always done it because I want to be healthy. I want longevity. I want to be climbing mountains when I'm 70 years old. And that's just me naturally. So when this happened with my daughter, I really had to like learn and get into that mindset and those shoes of what it's like to be a person in that isn't as motivated, or no, I shouldn't say as motivated, but has the same motivations as me to train and eat the way that I do, live, not eat the way that I do, but like I just naturally did these things. And a lot of people actually, it doesn't come as naturally. So that was like the biggest wake up call for me. So I had to spend a lot of time like relearning, like, or understanding what is it like to, not have the same drive and motivation. What is it like to actually feel like a victim and to not feel like a victim of the fitness industry, as in like I have to eat a certain way and I don't, I've got to restrict my food, or that was just huge for me. So that was the number one step, was getting into the shoes and having a bit more, not compassion is probably the word, just understanding it better. I just realized I just didn't know. So that was the first step. And then moving, what was the question again? Sorry.
That's okay. How did you transition as a woman yourself into this lifestyle with the changes that you were trying to help your daughter with?
Yeah. So sorry, I just go off on tangents sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, a lot of it, like I had to put a lot of my business on hold and stuff like that. And I had to be her primary carer. So I was working closely with a government agency here who helps people with, or children with eating disorders. And so I did a lot of learning on the ground running with them, with like learning how to support people with eating disorders. And you basically become the carer, the primary carer. And they teach you a lot of different things about family food culture is one of the biggest things. So a lot of us, especially as mums, like we don't realize, or we don't look at our family food culture very often. And this sort of describes things like even the simple idea of like perhaps everybody at the dinner table might eat different things. Like the mum might have her healthy meal, the dad and the boys in the family might eat pizza and lasagna. And then maybe the kids eat, the little kids might eat like a kid's plate with like finger food. So even that alone, like, and I know a lot of families do things like this. So even that alone, like you do that for 2 years or 3 years, it teaches and ingrains into families or into food cultures about like, what's this relationship about food? Like, why is this person eating this and what's this and what's this? Anyway, so learning things like that. And yeah, I guess the transition just naturally happened as I was breathing and living this experience. And I obviously, every time I was posting and working with a client or talking to my audiences, whatever, I was always imagining my daughter being the recipient of that message. And it just literally changed my language. Like everything that I talk about now is I just imagine, my daughter or anyone that's in a similar situation receiving that message, because we as the we as the professionals in the industry, like we actually have this really important role with our messaging and what we're talking about, because there are these people out there that are really looking up to us, and we need to be, making sure that we're educating people, and we're educating the right messages.
I love that. And who would have thought, taking it back to you talking about how some families, and it's funny because I can so relate to this, about how some families, they give their kids different meals compared to them, but you wouldn't even think about it at that time that would actually make a difference, or it would challenge the kid's mind at the time. Did you notice that within yourself, that those dynamics had to change within your household?
100%. Like, I used to track my food and weigh my food and all that in front of my kids, and I actually never used to think anything of it. And because I train like an athlete, I am an athlete, so I used to always just say, like, mummy's got to, you know, make sure she's having enough protein and carbs. Like, I have to feel, because if I don't track, I'm under eating normally. But yeah, so that was a big one. Like, yeah, just realizing that I couldn't do things like that in front of my daughter anymore or my kids, because it's, even though I'm doing it from the right place in my own head, you don't know how they're receiving that message and what they're thinking. So my daughter the whole time was looking at it as if, like, mum's doing this to lose weight. Mum's doing this because she wants to look good, or that's her interpretation. But for me, I'm just like, oh, this is just my life. This is me doing this for performance, for feeling better at the gym. But it's what they're receiving. So yeah, it did make a huge difference. And we all had to get to that point where, you know, like, part of the therapy with eating disorders, and family-based therapy in particular, is you have to get okay with, like, you know, going out and you go to a pizza shop. It's like everyone orders a pizza and everybody sits down and eats the pizza, the same pizza, and then go and get ice cream after, and everyone sits around and has the same ice cream, and like doing those things. And it was kind of crazy just thinking about how long it had been for our family since we had done things like that. And it's like a small thing, but it's also a big thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a huge thing. And like, I actually had to let go and realize how I had my own mechanisms of things that were ingrained in me, and I had to learn how to let go of those and explore a new path in my own journey, because I realized that these things that I was doing kind of keeping me safe and making me feel good, but what was life like not having these mechanisms, like, you know, to do with my training and nutrition? Like, what was life like with that removed? So I had to go on my own journey as well, and it did make a huge difference.
That is so freaking powerful to hear, because so many of us, we identify ourselves. I can speak from my experience, and I'm sure you can relate to this, is, you know, from tracking food for so many years, for you to let go of that, you have to change something within you. You have to let go of that old identity. And I really want to know, like, what was the toughest part about for you to make that change or that transition to, you know, have a healthier relationship with your daughter, or have a healthier relationship in general with the whole family dynamic?
Yeah, well, I mean, because my daughter, like, for me, being a mum and her safety was always number one. So I just, like, did anything I had to. But obviously, you know, deep down, I was battling my own things. So yeah, it was a big wake up call. So I went through a period just this year, or in the last, you know, couple of months, because she's only just recovering now. So she's back at school and stuff. But during that period when she was really unwell, like, I went through a huge period of having guilt and shame about the way I was approaching my own nutrition, me as a coach, everything that I was doing, because I'm like, yeah, it was traumatic for me, because I'm like, this is all I've known, but it's doing all this. So, but I also learnt, I had to learn how to let go, and like, it was crazy. Like, I can't describe it, but I feel like I've just done this huge backflip. But I did learn that I learned a more of intuitive way of eating, and I sort of realized once I stopped tracking that I actually know what amount of food I need, and I didn't need to track. And I realized, you don't need to. I mean, I guess I had to have that foundation initially to get where I am today. Because I've been doing it for so many years, I have the privilege of being able to do that so easily now. But yeah, it was an interesting learning experience, definitely.
It's so good that you made that point, because so many of us go into the industry getting taught that we have to track our food, but it's not necessarily having to. As you said, it's a foundation. It's a tool out of the toolbox that is useful for so many people. But now that you've taken it away from your lifestyle, you're able to intuitively engage better with food, which I find is such a healthy way, especially for women, because pardon me, as women, we tend to have less trust in our abilities. We're always underplaying because we're the self-doubt, whether it's from, you know, socializing, family dynamics, whatever it is, we always doubt our own abilities. So for you to come along and be like, hey, I actually had to let this go to have a better relationship, not only with myself, but with my daughter, which is so freaking powerful, to now being able to identify what foods you can and want to eat by just trusting yourself.
100%. And I think it was also harder for me to let go because before I got into like tracking and stuff, I actually I was underfueled, and I experienced a whole range of health issues for like 3 years. I had adrenal problems, I had autoimmune problems, I had hair falling out, and it was because I was overtraining and I wasn't fueling my body correctly. So this was when I had no knowledge of nutrition, and doing the tracking period and learning about it was it changed my life. But then also learning how to let go of it. And I guess there's a time and place for all these tools. It's just knowing when and what works for you.
Yeah. Oh my God. So true. So let's take it back now to work, because I feel as if we have a good gauge of what's been happening in, your personal life. How do you help your clients come away from, the tracking side of things, or helping them to let go of their old identity to, live a healthier lifestyle?
Yeah, so I'm lucky. Like, I attract a lot of clients who are really new on their fitness journey. So a lot of them are overworked and stressed out. And a lot of them are under eating. They're high on adrenaline and all that sort of stuff. So a lot of what I do is teaching them how to slow down, how to actually eat more, how to, have actual breakfast instead of drinking coffee, listening to their cues. What does it look like to be running on adrenaline? So teaching them how to listen to their body a lot more, and also just looking at those, metabolic markers as well, like, what's going on with sleep, what's going on with digestion, what's going on with mood, how's the period, like all the menstrual cycle stuff. Like, we always tap it back to that and look at what's going on there. So it's a lot about educating women to slow down. Like, that's my clientele. There's a lot of us are out there just crazy mad, running around, stress upon stress. As most of the world. And unfortunately, that is the world we live in. Like, we're constantly stimulated. We're all working full time. There's no rest period. And then they're telling us to, like, we've got to look and do this, look a certain way and be this, ultimate superwoman. It's so much pressure. And it's just teaching women how to come back to just being and being okay with just that.
I feel exhausted just hearing.
It's the world we live in. It's unfortunately, I think it's just educating people that you can't avoid it. We don't live in, the sticks away from cities anymore. Like, it's just the environment, and it's acknowledging that is the way we live, but we need to work just as hard. As much as we work hard, we need to work just as hard recovering and listening to our bodies.
Yeah. Finding that happy medium for yourself.
Yeah, and it's hard telling people to find balance. They're like, why would I want to do that? I just want no pain, no gain. Like, keep going. Let's go, go, go. But you can't sell finding balance too. It's really hard as a fitness professional. Like, if you market something as find you a balance, they're like, huh? It doesn't sell. Yeah.
I know. So how do you come across those clients? Because obviously by you saying how to find your balance, they're probably going to eye roll you and just walk away. So what are some ways that have helped you to attract these ladies into your life?
Yeah. So honestly, I just speak my truth. And I have a massive, like, I'm not religious, but I do have a massive spiritual connection. And I literally align myself and live and breathe what I need to be to attract those clients. Like, and I have that spiritual connection, and I just trust that, most of the people that come to me just are looking for that. So, I mean, yes, I have a social media following, which I've had for a couple of years, and I do just speak my truth and speak my messages. I don't plan posts. I don't do everything that I write is literally on the day. I just channel and just post whatever I have to post. So I just follow that path and be who I am, and just speak what needs to be said, and trust that from that I get those clients. And obviously, you can do things like ads and email campaigns and stuff like that. But yeah, I find just being aligned and living and breathing what it is that you know what you want to do and attract, like that is the best method.
Has this come over the last few years by you letting go of your old ways?
Yeah, 100%. And I guess it gets easier as you get older. Like, I mean, I'm 35, well, I'm almost 35 now. So obviously the younger you are, the harder it is to let go of those old identities. But as you get older, you can step into your truth more and you get more confident in doing that. And yeah, that's just definitely helped a lot with me as well. But definitely it was a massive shift of letting go of the old and like welcoming new. And also, like for me, a part of my healing as a coach too, and getting over the guilt and shame I felt with my daughter, I had to have a conversation with my audience about what happened. And I felt like I just needed to just put it out there to everyone and say, hey, this is what's happened. And I have to tell you because I just like speaking the truth. And, if this aligns, I was hoping the message would align with somebody who needed to hear it. And I got a lot of messages from it. And, sometimes just speaking your truth, you just got to trust that it will land with whoever needs to hear the message, And the most empowering thing you can ever do is be true and authentic to you. Like, I don't know, a lot of people bang on about it, but it's so true.
Let's bang on about this because this is something that I truly believe in, and I can relate to this because right now I'm going through this transition myself, not only in terms of like my coaching business, but my personal life, my relationships, everything. And people don't realize that you have to change along the way for you to grow into your next version. And too often we get stuck in this little box thinking, oh, I'm going to stay this fitness coach for the rest of my life. But you don't realize how your interests change over the time. And as you age, when you hit even when I hit 30 and now like in my mid 30s, you notice a change with that and you have to go with it because otherwise you're just going to resist it way too often.
100%. And yeah, I find the best thing, because it's easy, like you said, you can get stuck in these boxes. It's better, instead of looking for inspiration outside of yourself, like looking on social media, magazines, what's this person doing over here? Sometimes you can over listen to podcasts. Like I remember I had a period where I just listened to podcasts all the time. And it sort of distorts your own belief patterns and what you believe and what you think, because you're so listening to everyone and plugging into everyone else. You actually don't know what you want or what you're trying to align with and what your inner voice, higher self is saying. So sometimes you need to switch those things off and like actually go within to get the answer, as opposed to like plugging into all these different sources for inspiration as to where you need to be, who you need to be, what sort of coach you need to be. It comes from in here.
Oh my God. I'm so freaking glad we're talking about this because
I know.
this has been something on my mind for so freaking long. And you know what? It's meant to be for us to have this chat right now. So let's dive a little bit deeper. So as you said, too often we get too caught up by what everyone else is doing. And especially during on social media, it's very easy to get absorbed by what everyone else is doing. And you look at someone going, oh, they did this reel, so I need to do that. Or they wrote this post about protein and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, well, fuck, I need to do that as well. And I love the fact that you also just mentioned we have to go from within and see exactly what inspires us and what lights us up. But too often, and I'm speaking this from experience, you get fucking scared of showing your truth because you're afraid of that fear of judgment. Are people gonna like you or leave you? It's just like all of these things. And this is why too often we don't do what we believe in or what inspires us because of that fear. Is that something that you can relate to?
Oh, 100%. Like it's a daily battle. The more authentically you are yourself, the harder it is, or the more battles you experience with being that person. And yeah, I think like what people want, like, yes, it's about tuning into what you want to be as a coach, but like people at the end of the day, clients, potential clients, like they are looking for something different. They don't want to see the same protein post being shared. Like they want somebody speaking in a different way. They need that because there's so much of the same. So, using that as a driver as well, like the more you are unique and authentic is the better. But yes, it is scary. But I think when you zone it down to like just speaking to your ideal client, who cares what other people in the industry are saying, whatever, and you just imagine the person that you want to serve, like that's all you're speaking to. That's all you need to care about, is changing that one person's life. Like it doesn't matter if, you know, somebody doesn't like it, as long as it's resonating with who you're trying to help. That's all that matters.
It's so true. What's one thing that helped you to navigate all of this?
One is I'm not on the gram for long. Like I don't scroll. I don't spend too much time looking. Like, because if I start scrolling or looking, like I will overthink. I start comparing, and if I compare too much to other professionals, like people in the industry, it's not a good mix for me. So I know what triggers me. I just stay away from those things. And I always just focus on the people that I am helping and the people that are getting something out of what I have to say. And, you know, when I do have moments of resistance, I just try and bring it back to them. And obviously you have good days and you have bad days. You just got to like ride the wave. But I generally just bring it back to what I just said. And, you know, also having that spiritual connection and just trusting myself, my higher self, and what comes through me, and having faith in that also really helps. Yeah.
Speaking of your higher self, what are some modalities that have helped you get that clarity around, you know, owning your truth and, you know, speaking from the heart?
Honestly, it's been meditation for me. So I used to be one of those people that just never had time to meditate, and I was like so long, and I used to try like all the time to try and do it, and I put the insight timer on and stuff like that, but I would never understand what meditation was about. But then I realized just recently, like in the last year or so, what meditation really is. And meditation is about quieting everything down so you can hear yourself. So it's not about it's not trying to like force it. You've just got to like let it go. And it's about surrendering. And once I understood the whole point of that and like connecting in with your own self and like the conversations you can have with that, I was like, oh, I get it now. And I started to realize the more I did it, like the more quiet I became, the louder the messages would come to me. So it's just been meditation. And I literally was that person for so many years who would never meditate, because logically in my head, I didn't understand how it would work, and I was trying to control the outcome. But then when I just surrendered to it and just realized it was quietening down things so I could hear myself and like get rid of the busyness in my mind, and then acknowledging through that is like creating the space for things to come. Like if you don't have space created in your life, mentally, physically, it's not going to come to you because you're already full. So even understanding it from that perspective just made it a lot easier for me to get into a routine. And I meditate every day now, even if it's like 10 minutes, it's something, but it's definitely allowed me to, speak from that authentic place. And it's been a huge part of my journey.
This speaks really widely to me, especially around the space side of things. I'm a massive fan of meditation. I do it twice a day. And when I don't do it, I notice this fluctuation in my stress, or I start feeling tense. You know, you notice these changes. However, talking back to space is a really cool way of looking at it when we're working or when we're wanting to bring in new clients. And too often, sometimes we'll get too stressed out and be like, oh my God, I want 10 new clients, for example. But too often, that's your logical brain going, hey, I want 10 clients because I want to earn more money. Awesome. We all fucking want to. Yeah, we all want to earn more money. However, your other side is saying, hey, you don't have the capacity or the space right now to have 10 people on board. So guess what's going to happen? You're not going to get those 10 clients because it's protecting you. Because if you did get them, guess what? You would burn out and not want them.
100%. You've definitely got to create the space, and your higher self knows what you need. And I find the times when I'm asking for those things, I'm like, I need 10 new signups, I need to have 5 sales calls this week or whatever it is, and I'm forcing it, and I'm feeling like really overwhelmed,
usually when things are crazy around me, and like I'm feeling really busy and I'm trying to have that 10 clients coming in or this, that is actually when I have to slow down the most. And that's when I have to take the time to sit down and meditate. And it feels so counterintuitive because I'm like, no, but I have to do this and I have to do this. But that is when I need to chill and slow down the most. And that's when I, get the biggest downloads.
I love that. There's nothing better than getting a really good, juicy download from taking that time away for yourself.
100%. And it just, it feels so not right at the time, but it's like always rewards you.
What particular meditations do you use?
I used to just use Insight Timer, but now I just do my own guided meditations now. I just take myself on my own journey, whether I just like imagine a big ball of white light going into my body or like working through the chakras, starting from the base and then working like light through each of them. Or sometimes I just ask for my higher self to come down through to me. There's different ways, but I just self-guide now. But if you're starting out, Insight Timer has so many good meditations.
Yeah, I love Insight Timer. And I love the fact that you use a lot of visualization for your meditations.
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, I'm a very visual person. Everyone's different, but I definitely am a visual person. And when I close my eyes, I see a lot of things. But, other people feel things or smell things or whatever it is. But definitely the visualizations work really well.
I love that. So, so powerful. Before we head off, what is the one?
No, it's getting crazy in here.
Hey?
It's like cyclonic in here. I'll just go here. I'm good. We're good in here.
I was going to ask you, what is the number one tip that you can give our listeners today to encounter more space in their life?
Yeah, so I think what you need to do is you just have to have a non-negotiable for yourself every single day. You just need to commit, just at least do one thing for yourself, whether it's going to the gym or maybe not. No, that's not that's good. Everyone's going to do that anyway, I presume, on this podcast. But to create the space, I think you just need to have that non-negotiable, I'm going to sit down for 10 minutes and just do this, and just commit just to one thing a day. You just have to have the non-negotiable. It has to be a non-negotiable. Obviously there's some days that won't be able to happen, but just, try and keep that consistency every single day. And even if you're feeling the most resistance, there's probably that you need it more. That is your body saying you need to do this.
Yes, so powerful. You must listen to your body and mind. Yeah, 100%. Before we head off, Claudia, where can our listeners find you? How can they work with you?
Yeah, so you can find me at on Instagram is the easiest way, at Claudia Natasha with 2 underscores. Send me a DM or follow the link on my bio. But honestly, I'm on my DMs. Just send me a DM. But yeah, my website links and all that are on there. My programs. Yeah, that's how you can find me.
I love that. So good. Well, girls, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, because I surely did. I've got a lot of insights from today's conversation. And if you did, please make sure that you screenshot it, tag us at the Women's Fitness Academy, tag myself, tag Claudia. And then till next time, start tapping into your intuition and start listening to your higher self a little bit more.